In the sun-baked lands of ancient Mesopotamia, over 5 millennia ago, a civilization suddenly blossomed, introducing writing, mathematics, and complex astronomy, seemingly overnight, with no prior evolutionary stages. They wrote of sacred tablets, 7 in number, said to contain the very blueprint of the cosmos, the secrets of existence itself, now vanished. These whispers from the distant past call to us, inviting us to explore the greatest mysteries of our origins. So settle in, breathe deeply, and allow the ancient stories to unfold as we journey into the silent echoes of a vanished wisdom. Imagine a society, emerging from the mists of prehistory, building the world's first true cities, complete with towering ziggurats and intricate canal systems. This was Sumer, a civilization credited with inventing the wheel, irrigation, sophisticated legal codes, and the very first written language, cuneiform, all within a blink of historical time. Their advancements weren't gradual. They appeared fully formed, like a magnificent flower blooming in an instant. They charted the stars with incredible precision, developed a sexagesimal base 60 number system still used in our time measurements, and crafted epic narratives that echoed through millennia. This unprecedented burst of innovation marks Sumer as a truly impossible anomaly in the historical record, pushing the boundaries of what we understand about early human development. Mainstream historians often attribute this astonishing leap to the fertile lands between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The abundant water and rich soil, they argue, fostered agriculture, leading to settled communities, surplus food, and the leisure time necessary for specialization and innovation. The need for organized irrigation, they suggest, demanded complex social structures and administrative systems, thus giving birth to cities, laws, and writing. This conventional view paints a picture of humanity slowly but surely progressing, driven by environmental necessity and collective ingenuity, evolving from hunter-gatherer to city dweller in a logical, step-by-step manner. It's a compelling narrative, grounded in archaeological evidence of increasing settlement density and technological development. But there's a persistent whisper in the archaeological record, a nagging question that challenges this neat explanation. How did the Sumerians achieve such a dizzying array of firsts so quickly, with no clear evolutionary path from simpler societies preceding them? We find advanced mathematics and astronomy without long centuries of crude approximations. We see fully developed writing systems without long periods of pictographic struggle. It's as if a switch was flipped, and suddenly, humanity was endowed with a sophisticated toolkit for civilization. This almost instantaneous emergence, the sheer breadth and depth of their foundational knowledge, defies the expected pace of human intellectual and technological evolution, leaving a void in our understanding of their origins. It's this suddenness that makes many researchers pause and ask, what if there was more to the story? Some scholars, peering into the shadows of this enigma, speculate that Sumeria was not the beginning, but a reignition, an inheritor of knowledge from an even older, long-lost civilization that predated a global cataclysm, perhaps even one like the Great Flood narratives found in Sumerian texts themselves. Could fragments of a forgotten, highly advanced culture have seeded this new beginning? Others, more daring in their ponderings, wonder if these advancements were not entirely indigenous, but rather guided by something beyond human. Theories range from subtle influences to direct interventions, suggesting a transfer of knowledge from an external source, a guiding hand that accelerated Sumerian development far beyond what purely terrestrial evolution might allow. These ideas, while speculative, attempt to bridge the gaping chasm between what we observe and what our traditional historical models can explain. Could it be that the foundational knowledge of Sumeria was not forged entirely by its own hands, but inherited from a source that now lies hidden, waiting to be rediscovered? Was there a primordial font of wisdom, a master library of cosmic understanding, from which the Sumerians drew their unparalleled insights? The sheer impossibility of their sudden rise, the profundity of their inventions, hints at a wellspring of knowledge that transcends simple human ingenuity. This fundamental question about the true origin of Sumerian brilliance remains unanswered, a captivating puzzle piece at the very dawn of human civilization, inviting us to look beyond the accepted narratives and consider what else might have been possible. Deep within Sumerian lore, an even greater enigma stirs, one that directly addresses this question of lost origins: the legend of the 7 tablets of destiny, or sometimes the tablets of knowledge. These weren't mere administrative records or historical chronicles. They were said to contain the very blueprints of creation, the immutable laws governing the cosmos, the essence of divine power, and the destinies of gods and mortals alike. These mystical artifacts were believed to be inscribed with knowledge so profound it could control the universe, bestow kingship, and reveal the deepest secrets of existence. Tales of these tablets permeate Sumerian mythology, positioning them as the ultimate prize, the key to all understanding, held by the most powerful deities and coveted by ambitious heroes. Their very name evokes a sense of ultimate cosmic significance. Mainstream academics typically interpret these tales as powerful myths, religious narratives meant to explain the unexplainable, to instill order in a chaotic world, and to legitimize the power of their kings and priests. They are seen as allegories for natural phenomena, human struggles, or the symbolic representation of a divine hierarchy. The tablets of destiny, in this view, are metaphoric devices, a narrative construct to articulate complex theological and philosophical ideas about creation and governance. They serve as a reflection of Sumerian cosmology, a way for an ancient people to make sense of their world and their place within it, projecting human characteristics onto divine entities and imbuing their sacred objects with immense symbolic power. This interpretation anchors the tablets firmly within the realm of religious mythology, rather than as a historical record of tangible artifacts. But the persistence of these legends, and the detailed, almost scientific, nature of some Sumerian cosmic descriptions makes us wonder, were they purely allegories or echoes of a concrete understanding now lost? The Sumerians charted stars and predicted planetary movements with uncanny accuracy. Their flood narratives mirrored geological events. Their mathematical systems were highly sophisticated. For such a pragmatic and observant people, the idea of blueprints of creation might have held more than just symbolic weight. The consistent theme across various Sumerian texts, describing these tablets as literal repositories of ultimate knowledge, suggests a deeper, more profound origin than mere poetic invention. It begs the question, what if their myths were not just stories but fragmented memories of actual, physical, cosmic wisdom? Could these tablets of destiny have been more than just metaphors? Some researchers propose they were physical objects, perhaps inscribed with information so profound, so revolutionary, that their loss represents a gaping hole in humanity's understanding. Theories range widely. Some suggest they held ancient astronomical charts far more advanced than any we possess, perhaps detailing unknown planets or even interstellar navigation. Others speculate they contained a unified theory of reality, a complete physics that connected all forces and dimensions, explaining the universe from its smallest particles to its grandest structures. A bolder theory even ponders if they were a form of data storage, information transmitted from an external, perhaps extraterrestrial, intelligence, gifted to a nascent humanity. The possibilities, once we consider them as actual vessels of knowledge, become truly mind-bending. If these tablets truly existed, holding such profound insights into the universe's mechanics and the very essence of creation, where did they go? And what secrets might they still guard about the universe we inhabit? Their disappearance leaves a gaping void in our historical understanding, a tantalizing what if at the core of Sumerian civilization. Were they hidden away, destroyed in cataclysms, or perhaps taken by forces unknown? The legend persists, a beacon in the darkness, hinting at a lost golden age of knowledge that could profoundly alter our understanding of human potential and our place in the cosmos. The question of their fate, their very existence, keeps us searching, keeps us wondering about the ultimate secrets they once held. The story of humanity isn't just about what we've discovered and recorded, but equally about what we've forgotten, what has vanished into the sands of time. Entire libraries, like the legendary Library of Alexandria, burned to the ground, taking priceless scrolls and treatises with them into oblivion. Civilizations have collapsed, their unique wisdom and technological achievements fading into dust, leaving behind only tantalizing fragments. The Maya possessed incredible astronomical calendars, but much of their written knowledge was destroyed by conquerors. The intricate knowledge of ancient metallurgy or medicine, once common, can become lost arts for centuries, requiring painstaking rediscovery. This recurring theme of lost knowledge forms a stark backdrop to the mystery of the Sumerian tablets, reminding us just how fragile and ephemeral human wisdom can be across the vast stretches of history. Historians largely attribute these losses to the inevitable tides of history. Destructive wars that saw cultural centers razed to the ground, natural disasters like floods and earthquakes erasing coastal towns and ancient cities, or simply the fragile nature of ancient scrolls, papyri, and clay tablets that degrade over millennia. Political upheavals and shifts in religious beliefs also played a role, as new regimes or faiths often suppressed or destroyed the records of the old. The sheer passage of time, coupled with a lack of consistent preservation methods, meant that the vast majority of human knowledge from antiquity simply did not survive. It's a somber but understandable explanation, pointing to the inherent vulnerability of human achievements in the face of natural and societal forces. But is the loss always accidental? Or could some knowledge, deemed too powerful, too dangerous, or simply too far ahead of its time, have been intentionally concealed or allowed to vanish from the mainstream? The idea that certain truths might be suppressed is not entirely foreign to human history. Libraries might burn by accident, but also by decree. Texts deemed heretical or threatening to established power structures have been actively sought out and destroyed. When we consider knowledge as potent as the blueprints of the universe, the possibility of deliberate concealment becomes a compelling, if unsettling, thought. Was the loss of these tablets a consequence of chaos, or a calculated decision by those who understood their profound implications? Some theories suggest that advanced knowledge, like that potentially contained in the Sumerian tablets, might have been too revolutionary for the prevailing paradigms of later eras, leading to its obscurity or deliberate removal from public access. Perhaps the information was so complex, so paradigm-shifting, that it was deemed best kept from a humanity not yet ready to comprehend or responsibly wield it. Others propose that certain truths were intentionally hidden, perhaps by esoteric societies or powerful priestly castes, to maintain their authority, to protect humanity from itself, or to safeguard secrets for a future, more enlightened age. This notion suggests a conscious effort to shepherd knowledge, rather than its indiscriminate loss to the ravages of time and conflict, adding another layer of intrigue to the tablet's disappearance. The echoes of lost knowledge resonate through time, leaving us to wonder what alternate paths humanity might have taken, had those ancient secrets not slipped through our grasp. What scientific breakthroughs might have been accelerated by millennia? What philosophical insights might have guided us to a more harmonious existence? The absence of these tablets, the theoretical cosmic wisdom they contained, represents not just a missing piece of history, but a profound potential, forever unrealized, perhaps awaiting rediscovery. The very idea that such transformative knowledge could be lost forces us to question the completeness of our historical narrative. and to contemplate the true depth of human potential that may have been forgotten. Centuries later, in the 19th and early 20th centuries, the desert sands of Mesopotamia began to whisper their secrets. Early archaeologists, driven by a thirst for ancient civilizations, unearthed the sprawling cities of Sumer, Uruk, Lagash. They were astonishing finds, revealing grand temples, royal tombs, and crucially, vast libraries filled with tens of thousands of clay tablets inscribed with cuneiform. These meticulous excavations, often conducted under challenging conditions, brought the Sumerian world back to life. From the Epic of Gilgamesh, a foundational narrative of human quest and mortality, to intricate economic records and legal codes, these discoveries revolutionized our understanding of early human civilization, proving Sumeria's profound impact on everything from governance to literature. Each recovered tablet was a victory, a window into a world thought lost forever. These incredible archaeological endeavors dramatically transformed our understanding of human history, pushing back the timeline of organized civilization by thousands of years. The sheer volume of recovered cuneiform tablets, meticulously cataloged and translated, provided an unparalleled insight into the daily lives, beliefs, and governance of the Sumerians. We learned about their sophisticated irrigation systems, their complex social hierarchies, their detailed religious pantheon, and their groundbreaking legal principles. Millions of fragments, detailing everything from epic poems and creation myths to shopping lists, school exercises, and diplomatic correspondence, now reside in museums around the world. These texts confirm the Sumerians' pivotal role as the innovators of so much that we consider fundamental to modern society. But among the millions of recovered fragments, the specific tablets detailing the secrets of the universe, the true blueprints of creation, the ultimate cosmic knowledge, remain elusive. While we have pieced together much of their cosmology from scattered mythological texts and astronomical observations, we have never found the full, comprehensive, promised picture. The sheer number of everyday records suggests a society that meticulously documented everything. Yet the most important, the most profound knowledge seems to have vanished without a trace, leaving only tantalizing legends. This gaping hole in the archaeological record, the absence of these 7 legendary tablets, is perhaps the greatest mystery, overshadowing even the vast treasures that have been found. Could it be that these particular 7 tablets were too valuable, too sacred, or too dangerous to be left in ordinary archives for common discovery? Some speculate they are still buried, waiting to be discovered in a forgotten, perhaps secret, chamber beneath a temple or a ziggurat, deliberately hidden to protect their profound contents from those deemed unworthy or unprepared. Others suggest they were deliberately removed, perhaps by the priests themselves, or spirited away by invading forces who understood their immense power. A more radical idea suggests that the tablets might be metaphorical, or that their knowledge is subtly encoded within the very myths, religious rituals, and architectural structures we have found, waiting for a key to unlock them, rather than existing as literal, singular clay objects. The vastness of what remains undiscovered, the silent questions posed by every unread script, beckons us deeper into the sand-swept ruins, searching for those crucial missing pieces that might finally complete humanity's oldest, grandest puzzle. Will we ever uncover the 7 tablets of destiny, or are their profound secrets destined to remain hidden, echoing through time as a testament to a lost wisdom beyond our current grasp? The allure of these vanished texts continues to draw us, urging us to explore the boundaries of history, myth, and the very nature of lost knowledge, as we continue our journey into the deepest mysteries of the past. And as we consider these profound questions, our journey takes us to the very genesis of Sumerian thought, their understanding of how everything began. For among the fragmented clay tablets unearthed, none speak more profoundly of cosmic origins than the epic known as the Enigma Elish. This ancient text, pieced together from various archaeological finds, offers a breathtakingly detailed account of creation, a cosmic drama unfolding long before human eyes could have witnessed such events. In its verses, we find the Sumerian blueprint for the universe. It describes a time when nothing existed save for primordial waters, Apsu, the sweet water ocean, and Tiamat, the salt water ocean. From their swirling embrace, the first gods were born. It is a story of creation not from nothingness, but from chaos, a narrative that feels strangely familiar, like echoes of universal beginnings. This is the anomaly, a complex, intricate cosmology, seemingly beyond the grasp of early civilization. The mainstream interpretation of the asterisk Enuma Elish places it firmly within the realm of myth. Scholars generally view these narratives as symbolic representations. They suggest the story of Apsu and Tiamat reflects the struggle between fresh and salt water, a familiar environmental reality in Mesopotamia. The subsequent battles between the younger gods and Tiamat, the monstrous mother, are seen as allegories for the triumph of order over chaos, or the rise of a new social and political order in Sumerian society, perhaps even representing the cyclical nature of floods and the taming of rivers. The creation of humankind from the blood of a vanquished god, Kingu, is understood as a theological explanation for humanity's service to the deities. These are seen as powerful, albeit symbolic, narratives, providing a moral and social framework for a burgeoning civilization. This view considers them to be sophisticated poetry, reflecting the worldview of their time, but nothing more. But there's a persistent problem with this comfortable explanation. When we look closer at the asterisk Enuma Elish asterisk, we find details that defy purely symbolic interpretation. The narrative describes celestial events with a precision that seems unnervingly familiar to modern scientific cosmology. Tiamat, the great salt water goddess, is not just a monster. She is described as a celestial body, a primordial planet. In the myth, she is eventually split apart by the hero god Marduk, her body transformed into the heavens and the earth. Her head, the myth states, becomes the moon. Her eyes, the sources of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, are also described in ways that suggest celestial bodies or their influence. Consider the implications. Modern planetary science posits that Earth and its moon were formed from a cataclysmic collision between a proto-Earth and another celestial body, sometimes referred to as Theia. This impact would have shattered a planetary body, with larger fragments coalescing to form our Earth and its satellite. The Enuma Elish asterisk's description of Tiamat being split apart, with one half becoming Earth and the other components forming the heavens and celestial bodies, bears a striking, if mythological, resemblance to this scientific model. Could the Sumerians, thousands of years ago, have possessed knowledge of such a cosmic impact, an event that reshaped our solar system? Some researchers argue that this similarity is too profound to be mere coincidence. They speculate that the Sumerian creation epic is not simply a myth, but a garbled, ancient record of actual cosmic events, perhaps passed down from a time when human observation, or even intervention, was far more advanced. What if the primordial waters of Apsu and Tiamat represent the early, chaotic state of our solar system, perhaps a gas and dust cloud, from which planetary bodies began to form? The battles among the gods could then be interpreted as gravitational interactions and collisions between nascent planets. The idea that the 7 lost Sumerian tablets contained not just religious stories, but actual blueprints of creation, shifts this perspective entirely. Could these tablets have held a scientific account, a detailed cosmological diagram of our solar system's formation, which later became mythologized and allegorized over millennia? Perhaps they described planetary orbits, the composition of celestial bodies, or even the mechanics of stellar birth and death, couched in language that we now interpret as poetic metaphor. The Enuma Elish also describes Marduk assigning specific stations, to the gods in the sky, establishing their orbits and defining their roles in the celestial tapestry. This suggests an understanding of predictable celestial mechanics, of planets moving in regular, ordered paths. While ancient civilizations were undoubtedly skilled astronomers, primarily for agricultural and religious purposes, the depth of this ordering goes beyond simple observation. It implies a knowledge of universal laws governing the movements of cosmic bodies. The lost tablets hypothesis suggests that the surviving fragments of the Enuma Elish are like torn pages from a much larger, more scientific tome. They are the remnants of a comprehensive astronomical and cosmological text, translated and reinterpreted over generations, until its original scientific meaning was obscured by metaphor and religious dogma. Imagine a tablet describing gravitational forces, or the angular momentum of celestial bodies, which later generations, lacking the context or understanding, could only explain as a divine decree by a powerful God. Other theories delve further, exploring the possibility of external influence. If the Sumerians themselves did not possess the means to observe such cosmic phenomena, where did this knowledge originate? Some alternative historians propose that the gods in the Sumerian pantheon, particularly figures like Marduk, were not abstract deities but literal entities. These beings, often described as coming from the heavens, could have been advanced extraterrestrial visitors who imparted their own cosmological knowledge to early humanity. In this view, the Enuma Elish becomes a historical account, albeit filtered through ancient understanding, of how these gods describe the genesis of our universe, perhaps even of their own home worlds. The splitting of Tiamat could have been an event witnessed by these beings, or even orchestrated by them during their travels through the cosmos. Could the lost tablets have contained star charts of other galaxies, or descriptions of universal constants that govern all physical laws? What if they detailed the Big Bang theory, or a steady-state universe model, in a language we have yet to fully decipher? The idea that primordial chaos led to the formation of light elements, then stars, then planets, is remarkably reflected in the ancient text, albeit veiled in the struggle of divine forces. The Enuma Elish asterisk speaks of the formation of the great deep, of firmaments, and of the bright lights of heaven being set in place. These descriptions, while poetic, mirror the progression of our own scientific understanding of cosmic evolution. Consider the potential implications. If the Sumerians truly had a deep, empirically derived understanding of cosmology, it would necessitate a complete reevaluation of early human history. It would imply a level of observational technology or an inherited knowledge base that is simply not accounted for in conventional historical narratives. How could they have known about planetary formation or the distant past of our solar system without telescopes or advanced mathematical models? The answer, for some, lies in the possibility that this knowledge was not discovered by them, but revealed to them. And the vehicles for this revelation, the carriers of this profound information, could have been the 7 lost tablets. The tablets in this speculative view were not just records of myths but repositories of a universal science. They could have contained equations, astronomical data, or even diagrams illustrating the origins of matter and energy, the very fabric of spacetime. Perhaps they held the keys to understanding dark matter and dark energy, or the multiverse theory, concepts that even today stretch the limits of human comprehension. The secrets of the universe would then not be abstract spiritual truths, but literal scientific principles, fundamental laws governing existence itself. What if the Sumerians understood the cyclical nature of the universe, the concept of expansion and contraction, or even the idea of parallel dimensions? These are theories still being explored by modern physicists. To find echoes of them in texts thousands of years old, attributed to a civilization only just beginning to master agriculture and writing, is profoundly unsettling to our established understanding of intellectual progression. It suggests a knowledge jump, a discontinuity in our historical timeline that begs for an explanation. The cosmology and origins section of these lost tablets could have detailed a theory of everything, a unified field theory long before Einstein. They might have described the fundamental particles that compose all matter, or the forces that bind the cosmos together. The notion of a grand, harmonious design to the universe, often articulated in Sumerian thought, could have been rooted not in faith alone, but in a profound scientific comprehension that has been utterly lost to us. The transition from a chaotic, undifferentiated state to an ordered, predictable cosmos, as described in the Enuma Elish asterisk, is a powerful metaphor for scientific understanding. It's the movement from ignorance to knowledge, from uncertainty to a defined framework. And if these tablets truly contain the blueprints of creation, then the Sumerians possessed not just a story, but a manual, a guide to how the universe was assembled, piece by painstaking piece, from the primordial foam to the shining stars and planets, and eventually to life itself. This leads us to a tantalizing, almost unbelievable question. If a civilization thousands of years ago possessed such an advanced, detailed understanding of cosmic origins, if they had access to a blueprint of creation that mirrors our most sophisticated modern theories, what else did they know? And what profound, universe-altering secrets remain hidden, locked away within the unread verses of those 7 lost Sumerian tablets? From the grand narratives of creation, where the universe itself was said to be born from primordial waters, we turn our gaze upwards to the vast, silent stage where these cosmic dramas unfold. The Sumerians, it seems, were not merely storytellers of the heavens. They were meticulous chroniclers of its every movement, their understanding of the stars bafflingly advanced for their era. Among the most striking anomalies discovered in the ancient world are the Sumerian star charts and astronomical records. These meticulously etched clay tablets and cylinder seals, unearthed from the dusty ruins of Mesopotamia, depict constellations, planetary cycles, and celestial phenomena with an accuracy that seems impossibly ahead of their time. The precision with which they track the movements of visible planets like Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, and even predicted eclipses, has long fascinated researchers. Some tablets even detail the challenging concept of the precession of the equinoxes, a slow wobble of Earth's axis that takes nearly 26,000 years to complete one cycle. This is a phenomenon that typically requires centuries of careful, continuous observation to even detect, let alone accurately chart. The mainstream academic explanation attributes this extraordinary astronomical knowledge to painstaking, generations, long naked-eye observation. Priesthoods, it is theorized, dedicated their lives to nocturnal sky-watching, meticulously recording every flicker and shift of the celestial spheres. Their clear desert nights, free from light pollution, certainly offered an unobstructed view of the cosmos, allowing for detailed mapping over millennia. This explanation suggests that through sheer dedication and countless hours of patient study, the Sumerians built an empirical understanding of the heavens that slowly accrued over their long history. But there is a significant puzzle embedded within these ancient records, a moment that unravels the simple narrative of dedicated sky-gazing. Some Sumerian texts, particularly those interpreted as star charts, seem to reference celestial bodies or aspects of planetary mechanics that are entirely invisible to the naked eye. How could they have known about the moons of Jupiter, which require a telescope to discern? Or the true nature of the planet's orbital paths, which are elliptical, not perfectly circular as might be assumed from basic observation? Even more perplexing are the suggestions of a planet beyond Saturn, an idea that only gained scientific traction with the advent of powerful telescopes in the modern era. Such details suggest a level of insight that far transcends what is possible with even the keenest unaided human vision, no matter how many generations were spent observing the night sky. The sheer mathematical complexity involved in mapping the precession of the equinoxes, for example, stretches the credulity of simple visual tracking, hinting at an underlying framework of knowledge that defies conventional explanation. This perplexing gap between observed data and recorded knowledge has given rise to a fascinating array of alternative theories. Could it be that the Sumerians possessed some form of advanced observational tool, now lost to history? Some researchers speculate about early optical instruments, perhaps rudimentary lenses or magnifying devices that allowed for clearer, more detailed views of distant celestial objects. Imagine a civilization capable of creating the intricate artistry found in Sumerian artifacts, yet also possessing the technological ingenuity to craft polished crystal lenses capable of astronomical magnification. While no such definitive artifacts have been unearthed to date, the possibility continues to fuel archaeological speculation, suggesting hidden technological facets of their culture that remain undiscovered. The layout of some Sumerian temple complexes, with their elevated ziggurats and precise alignments, has even been interpreted by some as sophisticated observatories, designed not just for ritual but for scientific celestial tracking, potentially housing now-vanished instruments. Another, perhaps more provocative, theory posits external influence. This brings us back to the narratives of the Anunnaki, the those who from heaven to earth came, figures woven deep into the fabric of Sumerian mythology. If these beings were indeed visitors from another world, as some interpretations suggest, then the Sumerians' advanced astronomical knowledge could be a direct inheritance from these alleged cosmic travelers. It is suggested that the Anunnaki, possessing vastly superior technology and an innate understanding of the cosmos, shared their knowledge of the universe, including details of planets beyond human sight and the intricate mechanics of celestial movements. This would explain not only the accuracy of their star charts, but also the seemingly sudden appearance of such sophisticated knowledge without a clear evolutionary path within Sumerian culture. The tablets in this context would not merely be records of observation, but direct transcriptions of information gifted by these gods, information that originates from an intelligence far beyond that of early human civilization. This leads us to the most tantalizing possibility concerning the 7 lost Sumerian tablets, that they contain precise, detailed knowledge of interstellar navigation, or even descriptions of unknown celestial bodies. If the Sumerians possessed information that reached beyond our solar system, perhaps even detailing planetary systems orbiting other stars, then the implications are staggering. Some theories suggest that the lost tablets might include star maps far more expansive than those currently known, perhaps charting trade routes or points of origin for the Anunnaki themselves. Could they describe planets yet to be discovered by modern astronomy, perhaps lurking in the dark matter or on the fringes of our galaxy? What if these tablets hold coordinates for distant exoplanets, or even provide descriptions of the life forms that might inhabit them? Such knowledge would fundamentally reshape our understanding of ancient history, not just Sumerian history, but the history of life and intelligence in the cosmos. It would suggest that humanity, or at least a select group within it, was privy to cosmic secrets that even today's most powerful telescopes are only beginning to hint at. The very concept of navigation beyond our own solar system suggests not just observation, but travel, hinting at capabilities that defy our current understanding of ancient human limitations. The lingering mystery is profound. If the Sumerians accurately charted celestial bodies invisible to us without telescopes, and perhaps even knew of worlds beyond our own, what other unseen worlds, what other cosmic journeys did their lost tablets describe? What truths about our universe, our place within it, and the potential for life beyond Earth remain hidden within these vanished archives of an impossibly ancient civilization. The silent expanse of the night sky, once a source of wonder and fear for early humans, may have been a familiar map to the Sumerians, a blueprint for understanding realities we are still striving to grasp. And if so, then the secrets of the universe, those vast, silent truths, may be waiting to be rediscovered, etched into the clay of tablets we have yet to find. Having explored the vast celestial wisdom that perhaps guided the Sumerian gaze, our journey now turns inward, from the cosmic expanse to the very essence of life itself. If the Sumerians possessed blueprints for the universe, what did they know about the blueprints of humanity? What ancient whisperings might lie within the lost tablets about our own making? In the ancient land of Sumer, texts speak not just of stars, but of our origin. Most prominent among these is the Epic of Atrahasis, a narrative that chronicles the creation of humankind. This story details how the great gods, the Anunnaki, found themselves burdened by the toil of digging canals and farming the land. They grew weary, their patience worn thin by endless labor, and so a decision was made to create a lesser being, a primitive worker, to take on their heavy tasks. The text describes a council, a plan, and then a dramatic act of creation. The mainstream understanding of Atrahasis, like many ancient myths, is that it serves as a profound religious allegory. It's seen as a foundational myth, explaining humanity's place in the cosmic order, our subservience to divine powers, and the origins of suffering and labor. Historians and theologians often interpret the gods as personifications of natural forces or moral principles, and the creation of man from clay as a symbolic representation of our humble, earthly origins combined with a divine spark. It's a powerful narrative, providing meaning and structure to the early human experience, a theological explanation for existence itself. But there is a perplexing detail, a nagging inconsistency that challenges this straightforward interpretation. The Sumerian texts, when translated literally, describe a process that seems remarkably clinical. Not just the molding of clay, but the mixing of divine essence, blood of a god, and clay in a specific birth chamber. The goddess Ninti, whose name means Lady of Life, or Lady of the Rib, is depicted as actively overseeing the genetic experiment, guiding the process with the help of other divine beings. The language itself suggests not merely a poetic metaphor, but a deliberate, almost scientific procedure. It speaks of the model being made, the mold being set, and destiny being assigned. Could this be more than just a fable? Some researchers, looking beyond the conventional, suggest these narratives hint at something far more astonishing: genetic engineering. They propose that the gods described in Sumerian lore were not ethereal deities, but highly advanced beings, perhaps from another world, who possessed a sophisticated understanding of biology and genetics. The divine essence, or blood of a god, could be interpreted as genetic material, while the clay represents the earthly hominid from which modern humans were supposedly fashioned. The texts speak of perfecting the human, of creating a being that could reproduce and sustain itself, a worker designed for a specific purpose. Could Ninti, the Lady of Life, have been not just a goddess but an expert geneticist, manipulating DNA in an ancient laboratory? Could the lost tablets hold the precise formulas, the very blueprints of this audacious experiment, detailing the process of hybridizing an existing earthly species with advanced genetic material? If humanity was indeed engineered, meticulously crafted for a purpose, what profound secrets about our own inherent nature, our strengths, and our limitations might be locked away within these missing texts? Could the very code of our existence, the genetic instructions that make us human, be hidden within the lore of these ancient Sumerian narratives? But the precision with which these defects are described, and the subsequent corrections made by the gods, presents another intriguing puzzle. The narrative doesn't just say some humans were flawed. It details specific issues like speech impediments or the inability to work effectively. This sounds less like abstract symbolism and more like the observations of someone engaged in a practical, hands-on process of biological development. The birth goddesses are said to have formed these initial beings in molds, almost like prototypes. Could these accounts be a literal record of early genetic experiments, where the gods were actively trying to stabilize a new species, adjusting traits until they achieved the desired result? Alternative theories suggest that the lost tablets would contain not just allegories, but detailed records of these early biological investigations. Imagine ancient clay tablets etched with what we might call gene sequences, or diagrams of cellular structures. Could these fragments of text, currently understood as metaphors for divine creation, actually be simplified accounts of complex genetic manipulation? If the Sumerians inherited knowledge from these gods, it wouldn't be unreasonable to consider that their mythology encodes a hidden science, a proto-biology that describes the very mechanism of life itself. Perhaps the tablets contained knowledge of dominant and recessive traits, or methods for gene editing, allowing the creators to fine-tune the human specimen. If such knowledge were truly encoded in these missing tablets, if the gods were indeed advanced geneticists, what further secrets might they have known about the potential and limitations of the human form? What capabilities or predispositions did they engineer into us? And what hidden potentials might still lie dormant within our genetic code, awaiting discovery? Consider further the concept of destiny in Sumerian thought, particularly as it relates to human creation. Once humanity was created to serve the gods, their fate seemed intertwined with this purpose. The texts describe a fixed lifespan, a predetermined role as laborers and caretakers of the divine. This strong emphasis on a preordained destiny, often decreed by a council of gods, suggests a lack of true free will, at least in the early stages of human existence. From a mainstream academic viewpoint, the idea of destiny in Sumerian texts reflects the worldview of ancient societies. Life was often harsh, unpredictable, and controlled by forces beyond individual human power, be it nature, disease, or the will of powerful rulers. Attributing destiny to the gods provided a framework for understanding and accepting one's place in the world, offering solace in the face of hardship and reinforcing social hierarchies. It allowed for a sense of order in an otherwise chaotic existence, where gods, often fickle, dictated the ebb and flow of fortune. But if we follow the thread of genetic engineering, the idea of a predetermined destiny takes on a much more unsettling implication. If humans were asterisk designed for a specific purpose, were they also asterisk programmed for it? Could their genetic makeup have included not just physical traits, but also inherent predispositions for obedience, diligence, or perhaps even a limited capacity for independent thought, ensuring they would fulfill their roles as servants? The notion of a blueprint for life could extend beyond mere biology to include behavioral or cognitive parameters. If their creators were truly advanced, they might have understood how to influence even the most complex aspects of human nature through genetic means. Alternative theories suggest that the lost tablets could contain more than just genetic sequences. They might detail the psychological and even spiritual programming intended for the human species. Could they hold insights into the mechanisms of consciousness itself, revealing how free will might be influenced or even overridden by specific biological configurations? Some speculate that these tablets might describe the cycles of human development, predestined stages of evolution, or even the means by which humanity could either ascend to the level of its creators or be forever bound to its initial purpose. The idea of destiny then becomes a scientific outcome, not merely a divine decree. If the very fabric of our being, including our inclinations and our eventual path, was once laid out in ancient texts, what profound and unsettling truths about our own autonomy and the nature of existence might these lost Sumerian tablets reveal about the ultimate human experiment? Moving deeper into the mechanics of creation, let's consider the Sumerian accounts of birth chambers and the precise rituals involved in bringing these new beings to life. The texts mention 12 birth goddesses, or midwives, who assisted Ninti in the creation process. These goddesses were tasked with carrying the hybrid beings to term, overseeing their gestation in a highly controlled environment. This suggests a structured, methodical approach, almost like a production line for life. The mainstream interpretation of these birth chambers and assisting goddesses is, again, largely symbolic. It's seen as a vivid representation of the miracle of birth, attributed to a collective divine effort to emphasize its sacredness and importance. The 12 goddesses could symbolize the various aspects of fertility or the different stages of gestation, making the narrative rich with metaphor. This interpretation aligns with the general understanding of ancient mythologies as attempts to explain natural phenomena through supernatural narratives. But the sheer level of detail, the number of midwives, the specific location of the birth chamber, the controlled conditions, begs a closer look. Why so much precision if it were purely symbolic? Why mention a dedicated womb-like structure or a specific number of assistants unless it reflects a practical, observable process? The language suggests a methodical procedure for incubation, a careful nurturing of genetically modified embryos to ensure their survival and development. Could these birth chambers have been rudimentary incubators or cloning facilities, carefully managed environments where the newly engineered life forms could mature? Alternative researchers propose that the lost tablets would contain operational details of these ancient biolabs. They might describe the optimal conditions for gestation, the nutrients required for the developing hybrid, or even the methods used to monitor their progress. Some speculate these tablets might even reveal how multiple individuals could be brought into existence simultaneously, explaining the sudden appearance of a large workforce in Sumerian narratives. The birth goddesses might have been specialized technicians, overseeing complex biological processes with tools and knowledge far beyond what we attribute to the Stone Age. If the Sumerians, through these gods, possessed the means to create and nurture life in such a controlled manner, what other astonishing biological capabilities did they wield? Could these lost tablets hold the secrets to accelerating evolution, extending life, or even creating entirely new forms of life from scratch? As we contemplate the potential for such advanced biological understanding, we must also consider the implications for human variation and specialization. If the gods were engaged in genetic engineering, it's plausible they didn't just create one uniform type of human. Could they have engineered different variants, designed for specific tasks or environments? Sumerian art and texts occasionally depict figures with subtle differences, or describe people with unique abilities. While often attributed to artistic license or metaphorical representation, could there be a deeper, biological truth hidden beneath these depictions? Mainstream archaeology and anthropology generally interpret variations in ancient depictions as artistic styles, tribal distinctions, or symbolic representations of roles, e.g., kings, priests, commoners. Physical differences are usually explained by natural human diversity, adapting to various environmental pressures over long periods. The idea of engineered variants is outside the conventional framework of historical understanding, seen as highly speculative and lacking direct material evidence. However, the but moment arises when we consider the purposeful nature of the Sumerian creation story. If humans were created for labor, would not specialized laborers be more efficient? If one group was tasked with mining, another with agriculture, and another with administration, it logically follows that different genetic predispositions might have been desirable. The concept of creating a Lulu or primitive worker doesn't necessarily imply a monolithic, homogeneous group. The gods often had specialized roles themselves. Would their creations not reflect similar design principles? Alternative theories suggest that the lost tablets might contain records of different human prototypes, or even distinct subspecies designed for particular functions. Could some lineages have been engineered for strength and endurance, others for intelligence and administrative duties, and perhaps even some for psychic or spiritual capabilities? The notion that human diversity, at its very root, might owe something to ancient genetic design challenges our understanding of natural selection and evolution. Such tablets might detail the specific genetic alterations made for each variant, including behavioral traits, physical adaptations, and even cognitive capacities. If such a spectrum of engineered humanity once existed, what hidden talents or predispositions might still lie within our shared genetic heritage, waiting to be reactivated or understood? What secrets about our own diverse abilities and limitations, our very purpose and potential, might be unlocked if these lost blueprints of human life were to be rediscovered? Finally, let us reflect on the profound implications of these lost tablets, possibly containing blueprints for human life itself. If they detailed genetic manipulation, biological engineering, and the very design of our species, then they would not merely be historical documents. They would be foundational texts for understanding our existence. They would contain not just history, but a manual for humanity. The prevailing view in modern science is that life evolved through natural processes over billions of years, driven by natural selection and random mutation. Human consciousness, intelligence, and physical form are seen as the result of a long, unguided biological journey. The idea of specific blueprints, or intentional design, especially from an external source, often falls outside the realm of scientific discourse, typically relegated to religious or philosophical beliefs rather than empirical science. But the persistent echoes in Sumerian texts, the literalness of their creation narratives, and the specific, almost technical language used, leave an uneasy question mark. What if the evolutionary story we understand is incomplete? What if a crucial intervention, a carefully planned jumpstart, reshaped the trajectory of life on Earth? The but moment here is the unsettling possibility that our most fundamental assumptions about our origins might be dramatically challenged. Alternative theories propose that the lost tablets are not just allegories, but scientific journals from a forgotten epoch. They suggest these tablets could contain diagrams of DNA, instructions for cellular manipulation, or even a comprehensive understanding of the human genome thousands of years before its modern discovery. Perhaps they hold the secrets to reversing aging, curing diseases, or even enhancing human capabilities to levels we can only dream of. They might explain genetic predispositions to illness, talents, or even our spiritual inclinations, all encoded from the beginning. If the keys to our very genetic makeup, our purpose, and our ultimate destiny were indeed inscribed on these 7 lost Sumerian tablets, what astonishing truths about ourselves, our past, and our future could be unveiled if they were ever found. And how might that knowledge forever alter our understanding of what it truly means to be human? From the profound blueprints of human existence, we turn our gaze to the very stage upon which that existence unfolds, Earth itself. Our planet, seemingly constant, has a history far more tumultuous than we often imagine. The ancient Sumerians, with their startling knowledge of stars and human origins, also told tales of destruction on a scale that beggars belief. The Epic of Gilgamesh, a story older than many civilizations, tells a chilling account. It speaks of a time when the gods decided to wipe out humanity with a great flood. Only one man, Utnapishtim, was warned. He built a massive boat, gathering his family, craftsmen, and all manner of living creatures. For 6 days and 6 nights, the storm raged, burying the mountains and consuming all life. When the waters finally receded, Utnapishtim found himself the sole survivor of a world reborn from chaos. This is not just a myth, it is a foundational text, a deeply embedded memory in the very fabric of Sumerian thought. It describes an event so profound, so devastating, that it reshaped the world and its inhabitants. The Sumerian king list, another ancient text, even pauses its royal lineage, stating that the flood swept over, and after the flood swept over, kingship descended from heaven a second time. This suggests a cataclysm of such magnitude that it reset civilization itself, marking a clear divide in history. Mainstream historians and archaeologists largely interpret these ancient flood narratives as poetic retellings of localized, albeit severe, inundations. Mesopotamia, the land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, was prone to seasonal flooding. Archaeological digs have indeed uncovered layers of silt in ancient cities like Ur and Kish, suggesting significant riverine floods around 4,500 to 5,000 years ago. These events would have been catastrophic for the people living along the riverbanks, capable of wiping out entire settlements and leaving an indelible mark on their collective memory. It is a logical and scientifically supported explanation. The memory of such a devastating, localized event, passed down through generations, could easily be exaggerated into a global deluge over time, becoming a powerful cautionary tale about the god's wrath or the unpredictable power of nature. But there's a profound problem with this neat explanation. The Sumerian flood story is far from unique. Across every continent, among cultures separated by vast oceans and millennia, without any known direct contact, remarkably similar narratives persist. The Hebrew Bible has Noah's Ark. Ancient Greek myths tell of Deucalion and Pyrrha surviving a great flood sent by Zeus. India has Manu, warned by a fish. The Inca, the Maya, Native American tribes, indigenous Australians, all possess vivid, detailed accounts of a global deluge, a time when the world was purified by water, and a chosen few survived to restart humanity. These are not vague stories of heavy rain. They describe massive, all-encompassing floods, often with a divine warning, an ark, and the destruction of almost all life. How could so many disparate cultures independently arrive at such a specific, shared memory of a truly global cataclysm, if the original event was merely a localized river flood in Mesopotamia? The sheer universality and consistent details of these global flood myths challenge the idea that they are all simply embellished local events. It suggests something far grander, something that touched all corners of the earth. Some researchers, looking beyond localized floods, point to geological and climatological evidence for more widespread, abrupt cataclysms in Earth's recent past. The end of the last ice age, roughly 12,900 to 11,700 years ago, known as the Younger Dryas period, was a time of dramatic and sudden global climate shifts. Evidence suggests that temperatures plunged rapidly, ice sheets expanded, and then just as suddenly the planet warmed again. During this period, massive meltwater pulses, known as megafloods, originating from collapsing ice dams in North America like the Agassiz Lake outburst, surged across continents, altering sea levels and landscapes with unimaginable force. Could it be that these sudden shifts, these immense deluges, are the actual events encoded in the collective memory of humanity, twisted into myth but retaining a core truth? The idea of a cosmic impact event initiating the Younger Dryas is gaining traction among some scientists. This hypothesis suggests that a comet or asteroid fragmented and impacted the Earth, triggering widespread wildfires, a sudden cooling period due to atmospheric dust, and ultimately, massive oceanic disturbances, tsunamis on an unprecedented scale as ice sheets destabilized. Such an event would leave undeniable global evidence, from microdiamonds and impact spherules found in geological layers to widespread extinction of megafauna. If our ancestors witnessed such an event, a literal fire from the sky, followed by global inundation, It would certainly explain the shared trauma and specific details found in countless flood myths. The sheer power of such an impact, capable of shaking the very crust of the Earth, would indeed be a planetary event, not just a regional one. Theories also suggest that the Earth itself might undergo cyclical changes that could lead to cataclysms. Could the Sumerians have understood these deeper, more fundamental rhythms of our planet? One such idea is crustal displacement, a radical geological theory proposing that the Earth's outer solid shell can suddenly and dramatically shift over its molten core, moving continents thousands of miles in a matter of days or weeks. This is not plate tectonics, which is a slow, gradual process. This is an instantaneous, wholesale shift of the entire crust. Such an event, though highly controversial, would trigger unimaginable earthquakes, volcanic eruptions on a global scale, and tsunamis that would sweep over continents, radically altering coastlines and submerging vast landmasses. What if the Sumerian flood narratives and those of other ancient cultures are not merely memories of water, but echoes of a planet in violent upheaval, a complete geological reset? Some theorists also consider the possibility of pole shifts, where the Earth's magnetic or even rotational poles rapidly migrate, causing a cascade of catastrophic events. Magnetic pole shifts are known to occur over long periods, but could there be mechanisms for rapid, sudden shifts that would disrupt the planet's gravitational balance, unleash tectonic forces, and create global tsunamis? These are not mainstream scientific ideas, but within the context of exploring lost knowledge, they offer a way to understand how ancient civilizations might have witnessed truly global transformations of our world. If the Earth has indeed experienced such cyclical upheavals, then the Sumerians, with their advanced astronomical and cosmological understanding, might have possessed a deep knowledge of these planetary cycles. This brings us back to the lost Sumerian tablets. If such a global cataclysm, whether from cosmic impact, crustal displacement, or megafloods, truly occurred, and if humanity barely survived, what might those 7 lost tablets have recorded? Were they merely historical accounts, a grim chronicle of a world drowned and reborn? Or, given the Sumerians' apparent understanding of cosmic patterns and the very essence of life, could these tablets have contained warnings? Could they have held predictions of future cycles of destruction, celestial alignments that trigger terrestrial chaos, or even instructions on how to prepare, how to survive, or how to mitigate the next great planetary event? If a civilization thousands of years ago possessed knowledge of Earth's cyclical cataclysms, what profound secrets remain hidden from us about our own planet's volatile nature? Having traversed the ancient currents of cataclysm and renewal, forces the Sumerians seem to have charted with uncanny precision, we now turn our gaze inward, towards the very architecture of their minds. Beyond the physical cycles of Earth, there lies a more profound mystery, the philosophical and spiritual underpinnings of Sumerian thought, hinting at a deep understanding of universal laws and consciousness itself. Ancient Sumerian proverbs, hymns, and legal codes, unearthed from the dust of millennia, offer a window into their worldview. On the surface, these fragmented texts appear as practical wisdom, guiding principles for daily life, or early religious moralizing. They speak of justice, ethical conduct, and the proper veneration of their gods, seemingly designed to ensure a stable and harmonious society. Scholars often interpret these as rudimentary legal systems and a nascent form of theology, reflecting a people striving to impose order upon a chaotic world through ritual and rule. But there is a subtle undercurrent that challenges this straightforward interpretation. The language, the recurring motifs, and the intrinsic connection between human action and cosmic consequence woven into these ancient narratives suggest something far more sophisticated than simple morality tales. It's as if the Sumerians perceived a delicate balance, an unseen tapestry of universal principles, and their societal laws were merely reflections, or perhaps even applications, of these grander designs. The emphasis was not solely on obedience to a deity, but on living in alignment with an inherent cosmic order. Some researchers believe that the true depth of this philosophical insight was not fully captured in the everyday decrees we've found. They speculate that the lost tablets would reveal the underlying architecture of this wisdom, not just what they believed, but why. Could these tablets have contained a detailed explanation of universal causality, detailing how every action, every thought, reverberated through the cosmic whole? Theories propose these were guidebooks to a profound ethical system, rooted in an understanding of the universe as a self-regulating, interconnected entity. They suggest a deep awareness of cycles, not just physical ones, but cycles of karma, of intention, and of manifestation, all governed by immutable laws. What if these tablets provided a comprehensive framework for living in harmony with the cosmos, a blueprint for a society integrated with the very fabric of reality? If the Sumerians possessed such a nuanced grasp of universal principles, then the nature of their philosophy elevates from mere practical guidance to an ancient, profound science of existence. This raises another, even more intriguing question. What did the Sumerians understand about consciousness itself? Beyond their societal rules and the veneration of external gods, certain subtle indications in their spiritual practices and devotional texts point towards an internal dimension of experience. Their rituals of purification, their laments, and their prayers, while addressed to deities, also contained elements that seemed to suggest a journey within, a yearning for an inner alignment or transformation. Mainstream perspectives tend to view these practices primarily as attempts to appease capricious gods, to gain favor, or to avert misfortune. The focus is often placed on the external act, the sacrifice, the petition, reinforcing the idea of a transactional relationship with the divine. The individual's inner state is considered secondary to the prescribed religious observance. But this interpretation may overlook a critical nuance. When one delves deeper into the poetic structure of Sumerian hymns, or the symbolism embedded in their temple architecture, there are hints of a recognition of an animating spirit within each individual, a spark connected to the greater cosmic intelligence. Some fragments speak of the soul or spirit enduring beyond the body, or of reaching a state of oneness with the divine, suggesting a personal, experiential quest beyond mere dogma. Alternative theories suggest that the lost tablets held far more than just prayers or rituals for external deities. They propose these texts might have contained detailed instructions for cultivating specific states of consciousness, for navigating inner landscapes, or for achieving profound spiritual insights. Could the Sumerians have possessed techniques for meditation, for lucid dreaming, or even for out-of-body experiences, designed to expand human awareness beyond the confines of the physical? Some researchers speculate that these tablets were, in essence, guidebooks to higher consciousness, detailing methods for individuals to directly experience the universal laws, to perceive the architect's mind not just intellectually, but experientially. What if these ancient people had developed a science of the inner world, a systematic approach to unlocking the full potential of human consciousness and its connection to the universal field? The idea that the Sumerians charted the inner universe with the same precision they applied to the celestial spheres presents a startling possibility, that their advanced understanding wasn't just external, but deeply internal. This brings us to perhaps the most ambitious speculation of all. Did the Sumerians possess a unified theory of reality, an overarching understanding that seamlessly integrated their cosmology, astronomy, genetics, and philosophy into a single, cohesive framework? We have seen evidence in earlier acts suggesting their profound insights into the origins of the universe, the movements of celestial bodies, and even the very blueprint of human life. The consistent use of specific numerical sequences, geometric patterns, and symbolic representations across their art, architecture, and written records points towards an underlying design principle, a grand coherence that seems to tie everything together. Mainstream academic thought typically compartmentalizes these areas of knowledge. Sumerian cosmology is seen as myth, astronomy as rudimentary observation, and their proverbs as moral teachings. There is no widely accepted view that these were all facets of a single, integrated theoretical framework. Each field is studied independently, with connections drawn only where they are immediately obvious or culturally significant. But the persistent echoes of sacred geometry, the mathematical precision in their building orientations, and the recurring narrative threads across different Sumerian myths imply a deeper, more intentional integration. It's as if they were observing the same universal principles manifest in different domains: the heavens, the earth, the human body, and the mind. The consistent reference to measurements and foundations in relation to creation narratives further hints at a structural, mathematical understanding of existence. Could the lost tablets have contained this unified theory of everything, a synthesis that modern science is only beginning to piece together? Alternative theories suggest these tablets were not just individual texts, but a complete encyclopedia of universal laws, a grand design that explained how energy, matter, consciousness, and time all interconnected. Some speculate they held mathematical equations and energetic blueprints that described the fundamental forces of the universe, perhaps even predating modern physics by millennia. Could they have understood concepts akin to quantum mechanics, string theory, or the holographic nature of reality, presenting them not through complex instruments, but through a combination of intuitive insight, profound observation, and perhaps even a form of direct cognition? What if the Sumerians had a grand unified theory that explained the very nature of existence, a single, elegant framework encompassing the physical, the energetic, and the conscious realms? If such a unified theory existed, it would force us to completely rewrite the timeline of human intellectual and spiritual evolution. It would mean they possessed not just isolated pieces of advanced knowledge, but a comprehensive map of reality. As we draw to a close on this journey through the whispers of a lost age, the most profound mystery lingers. What remains hidden? Despite all our modern advancements, our scientific instruments, and our vast libraries of knowledge, there is a persistent sense that something fundamental about existence remains elusive to us. We continue to grapple with the nature of consciousness, the origins of the universe, and the true purpose of human life. These are the very questions that the Sumerians, in their enigmatic wisdom, seem to have explored with an intensity and insight that perhaps still eludes our grasp. The mainstream narrative suggests that humanity's intellectual progress is a largely linear ascent, with ancient knowledge being the crude, foundational steps upon which our current sophisticated understanding is built. The idea that significant, fundamental truths could have been fully grasped and then lost is often dismissed as romanticism or wishful thinking. Each generation, it is argued, builds upon the last, progressively unraveling the universe's secrets. But what if this is not entirely true? The very questions posed by modern cosmology, quantum physics, and consciousness studies often mirror the deep inquiries of ancient philosophies. This suggests not a linear progression, but perhaps a cyclical rediscovery, a returning to fundamental questions that have been asked and answered, only to be forgotten again. The persistent anomalies in our historical and archaeological records, the impossible structures, the advanced knowledge in primitive contexts, all point to chapters of human history that we have yet to truly comprehend. Alternative theories propose that the lost Sumerian tablets represent not merely lost facts or technologies, but a lost asterisk paradigm, an entirely different way of perceiving and interacting with reality. They might contain a key to unlocking forgotten human faculties, a blueprint for a future that is simultaneously an echo of the distant past. Some speculate these tablets are less about secrets in the conventional sense and more about instructions, guidebooks for awakening a higher form of human potential, for remembering our true connection to the cosmic architect, and for understanding our role within the grand, universal design. Could they explain why we are here, what our ultimate purpose is, and how we might achieve a state of being that transcends our current limitations? The enduring mystery of the Sumerian tablets and the profound wisdom they are rumored to contain forces us to confront a humbling possibility, that the deepest secrets of the universe may not be waiting to be discovered, but rather to be remembered. And as